All right, they'll probably be joining us here in just a second. Let them know that we're here too. Anybody ever done Zoom before? Nobody? New technology? Excellent. Excellent, excellent. We are on. Somebody trying to send the room. Here I am. All right, well, anybody know what ketosis really is? No, we're trying. Anybody else?
You're burning fat?
Huh?
You're burning fat?
You're burning fat. Well, kind of. That's what leads us to ketosis. Anybody know what ketosis is? You got another application. Anybody else that? You don't call it ketosis. You don't call it that. Ketosis, I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually the bad. Ketosis is the good, just so you know. Ketoacidosis is for diabetics that are out of control. That's bad. Type 1. Oh, somebody's joining us. Hey, Ann! Hi, Ann! Hi! Ann wanted to come and be with us here today. And this woman went out a big contract and has to be home working, but she's in front of her computer. So, can you hear us okay, Ann? Yes, we can. Can you hear us okay, Ann?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, got it.
Like just the timeline. And could you share like a quick 1 or 2 minutes?
Can I share?
Yeah, like snapshot. We got Dr. Rhodes coming on in sec too, so.
Okay, awesome. My name's Ann Lowe, and I live in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's been a little cloudy today, and it's awesome to see you guys there. I'm sad that I didn't get to be there in person, but I have one of those stories that maybe somebody brought up while you guys were talking, that we're trying to avoid some critical illnesses, and I won the critical illness lottery. And in 2014, I was diagnosed with stage 3, grade 3, triple positive invasive breast cancer. And I had 12 months of chemotherapy, 6 weeks of radiation, and 6 surgeries. And when I was done with that, I could not punch my way out of a wet paper bag. And shortly after that, I began to, having been sent off by my oncology team, to just go out and enjoy my life and eat whatever I wanted. That didn't resonate with me, because I knew that's what had gotten me there. I had been doing some investigating and had really discovered that your metabolism, there's more of a metabolic cause to cancer than what we really believe, than what people in the past had believed. So I actually saw a Facebook post. Well, let me back up. I actually started doing my own investigating and ran across a TED Talk by Dr. Dom D'Agostino, and watched that video, and it was life-altering for me. The challenge with it was, though, that I could not stay in ketosis. I struggled. And I was watching my friend John. John and I have been friends for many years, and he made a post that he was drinking ketones, and I kind of looked at that post and went, I don't know what this guy's been smoking, but you cannot drink ketones. And so I actually went to his link and found that indeed you could drink ketones. And the journey for me really was 3 days of product, changed my life forever. The first day I took it, and as I said, I could not punch my way out of a wet paper bag. The first day I drank it, it was the first time in 12 months I hadn't needed a nap. The second day I drank it, I was able to, for the first time in many, many months, clean my entire house. I had been having to break it up, that I would clean one room and then I would have to take a nap, and the next day clean the next one. And then the third one was the biggest challenge I had with my, as I like to say, keep me alive drugs, is that they cause a lot of pain, and it was debilitating. So it significantly affects your bones, your joints, and your muscles. Other than that, you're okay. But so on day number 3, I was like, oh my God, I don't hurt anymore. And so being the incredible nutritional skeptic I was, I went, hallelujah, I've gotten used to my cancer medications and I can just go on and not have to use this product anymore. And 36 hours later, I was back on the couch and completely in pain and I needed a nap. So this product has been life-altering for me. It helped me. I never thought that I would weigh what I weighed in high school, let alone even less. I never thought I would regain, in the cancer community, they talk a lot about the new me. And for most of us, the new me really sucks. And I have to say that because of this product and this lifestyle, the new me is better than before I had cancer. And that's not normal. And that's what we're seeing in the cancer community as we begin to use this product more and more. So anyways, sorry, that was probably a little longer than what you wanted. And I see Brian on here and he's got far more information and knowledge than I do. But thank you for letting me share from afar.
Thank you. Really, Brian got on? I don't see him yet.
If you can,
There you are.
switch speaker view to up the top, the gallery view on there, and it'll put a bunch of everybody that's on here on here.
All right, we got you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Sarah's finishing up another Zoom right now. So she'll be on here in a minute. Anyways, how's it going? It looks like there's a lot of people there drinking some ketones.
We had over 20.
Nice. Do you guys make some keto snacks too?
Yeah, if you missed the Facebook Live last night, we made sugar-free, low-carb pumpkin cheesecake. We've been eating that like crazy.
If Eva's involved, there's snacks.
Oh, yeah.
And when we're together, there's lots of snacks.
Well, and wait till you try the no-bean hummus that Kathleen made. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
That's a good idea. That's a real good idea. How's it going? Does anybody have any kind of questions or anything I can go over before Sarah jumps on here too?
Anybody have any questions? This is your opportunity to start asking those questions.
So,
are there any sweeteners they'd like to know?
any sweeteners as in what's in our product or sweeteners to use?
In the product. They want to know about the sweeteners in the product.
Okay. Well, normally, I mean, we have our sweetener is stevia and erythritol, so they don't cause an insulin response. So it's just fermented glucose that's found in like unripened apples. So it's good sweetener. It won't, it's not sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just asked as a diabetic. My mom has diabetes, so if you can get her moving, I'll buy whatever.
Gotcha.
But she has diabetes really bad.
So the question is, if you just want to confirm the answer, can a diabetic take this? Is it going to cause an insulin response?
Well, I mean, it depends on, I guess, if you're type 1 or type 2, but type 2 diabetics are honestly like our favorites to start drinking this. And come around this other side. And they're honestly our favorites to start drinking this, which is pretty cool. And I have my wife here. She's the human biologist and can kind of go over that a little bit more technical. Like you probably want to hear it than me just saying, yeah,
Okay, so the question I think that I heard, when you drink this, does it cause an insulin response?
For like type 2 diabetics.
It doesn't even matter who it is that's drinking it there, because it doesn't have like the glycemic index is so low, you're not going to raise blood sugars at all. you're not going to have an insulin response. You can have a pre-insulin response, which starts to fade over time. So if you eat something that's sweet and you're using some type of sugar alternative, then you can, it's basically like your brain is sending insulin an invitation to come out and play. But then if glucose doesn't increase in the bloodstream, then insulin ignores that invitation. So you can have a pre-response, but over time that's down-regulated to where the sweet taste doesn't trigger that response anymore. So it actually down-regulates the pre-invitation for insulin production, which is really, really good whenever we're talking about we've been living most of our lives in a very, very glucose-saturated environment. And so we've conditioned that response to like a positive reinforcement for that response for a very long time, which is why so many people end up struggling with type 2 diabetes. But we want to down-regulate that. And so that's what's going to happen whenever you're tasting something that's sweet, but you're not increasing glucose and you're increasing ketosis. So it has basically a negative insulin response. Does that
Medications. So is there any medications she should?
Ketones don't interact with medications. If you are injecting with insulin,
Yeah, she does that.
and your blood glucose is self-regulating due to the effect of ketones, whether it's diet or supplementation, you would need to make sure that you're not over-injecting. So as your need for insulin decreases, you would want for your amount of insulin that you're injecting to decrease.
Okay.
So don't go just based on, hey, I inject X amount of units per X amount of carbs that I eat, or X amount of units at this time of the day. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to what are your blood sugars before you inject. If you have someone who's very habitual, they need to start checking again.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
They asked about the sweeteners too.
The sweeteners that are in the products, was there a question about that?
Yeah, they asked at the beginning when you were still in there.
So we have stevia.
Hang on, we got.
Go ahead and answer that question, then we got some more questions coming.
About the sweetener.
you guys-
So stevia is a completely natural. I mean, it comes from a leaf. To me, it tastes a little bit bitter in high amounts, so there's not really a whole lot of it. It doesn't have an insulin effect. Like, there is no response to stevia. With erythritol, there is super minimal insulin response, minimal to none. Erythritol is a natural sugar alcohol. So if you eat an overripened fruit, it has erythritol in it. So if you take fructose and you ferment it, you end up with erythritol. You can't process it as a calorie or carbohydrate. We can't really do anything with it. It typically just passes through. Xylitol is kind of similar, but xylitol has a bad reputation for causing GI distress and bloating. Erythritol does not have that effect. So erythritol, in my opinion, is the best sweetener because we can't use it for calories. It has little to no insulin response, doesn't cause GI distress, it's completely natural, and it actually tastes like sugar. So those are the only two sweeteners that we use. So the stevia is in all of our products. The erythritol is mixed with stevia in all of the Max products.
So I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so what about somebody who has, say for instance, Crohn's disease, IBS, they don't have a gallbladder, they don't have an appendix, they have a hard time digesting fats in general, it goes right through them.
Right.
You know, in some defense, I've known some people that became constipated with ketones, and I've known some people that have lost their bowels like uncontrollably.
So there's two things you have to consider when we're talking about the different versions, because they are a little bit different. And close your ears, babe. I had IBS and I don't have a gallbladder. So I struggled with fats. I didn't eat I ate less than 10 grams of fat a day for about 10 years. I was very high carbohydrate before. I couldn't process fats. I didn't know how to switch from carbs to fats because every time I ate fats, it made me sick. So for people like that, you want to be careful with the Orange Dream version is the only version that has fat in it. And it has, I think, 7 grams of MCT in it. So those are medium chain fats. If you're not fat adapted, those will pass right through you. So what you want to do if you are fat adapted and if you can break them down and use them, they give you really long lasting energy and appetite suppression. So they're great for weight loss. And the thing is, you have to combine it with a digestive enzyme. So you have to combine it with a lipase and bile, especially someone who does not have a gallbladder. They've got to have that added in bile. So you want to look for a good digestive enzyme. If we can get a group message going, and I don't even know who's John. Is that John Green?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're blurry a little bit. But John, you have the pictures of that digestive enzyme. You can get one at Walmart. It's $7 for 200 tablets, or you can go to your chiropractor or naturopath and get a product called Zypan made by a company called Standard Process. Both of those have the bile salts that you need and the lipases that you need. Lipase just means it breaks down fat. So when you're talking about people who can't break down fat, what happens is it's like oil and water. You mix them and they separate out, right? So usually one comes up and one goes down, and you end up with reflux and diarrhea. So if you can make those mix into a smooth mixture, you use an emulsifying agent, which is what bile is, and you shake the oil and water and it turns into a cream instead of separating out. So that's what you want to happen in your stomach. All that stuff, you just want to mix together into like a smooth mixture, pass through, you absorb what you need. So, but if you don't have enough bile and you don't produce enough lipase, then you have to supplement in those things. So those two products are products that I love to help do that. However,
Is that for somebody that has IBS too and just has gallbladder and has
I used to have to take a sublingual smooth muscle relaxer because my IBS was so bad. I don't have that problem now. My GI is perfectly healthy. I can tolerate fats. I can tolerate MCT, but I did use a digestive enzyme for the first 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, and I don't have a gallbladder. So, I don't have a gallbladder. I had IBS. I dealt with all of that stuff, and I do know that it is possible to get your gut health back on track, but I do think that digestive enzymes and a good probiotic, whether you're doing kefir or, unflavored Greek yogurt or using a probiotic multi-enzyme, something to get in those digestive enzymes, because your body's not producing enough of them, especially in the beginning. You're not used to it. So your body's not sure what to do with these things. It doesn't have the enzymes to use them to break them down properly. So you have to supplement in for the first little bit. And if someone is constipated, typically that would come from the orange version, because what happens is if it's not passing through, and you're either dehydrated or you're going to end, you don't have enough magnesium, because when you're in, the only version that doesn't have magnesium added in is the orange. Okay, so magnesium is one of those things that naturally makes you go to the bathroom. If you're using the orange version and you're not drinking enough because you're in a diuretic state, you're losing fluid. When you lose fluid, you lose magnesium. You're not supplementing in magnesium. You're not getting enough water. You end up constipated. So one of the two things can happen with the orange. So for people who start with the orange, I typically tell them every single time, use a magnesium supplement. So get an electrolyte supplement like Noon Tabs or a CalMag supplement, and get a digestive enzyme. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. The digestive enzyme and the Noon tablets together are less than $15. So it's not like it's a huge expense to add those two things in. And then water is minimal. So as long as they're making sure that they're doing those things, though, they shouldn't have any of those side effects.
So another question is, when I was taking the ketones, I felt very thirsty. I felt like I couldn't get enough water.
Yeah. So that's because when you're in ketosis, our bodies are very smart. Whenever we're burning fat, think about where we store toxins. We store toxins in fat. So if we're burning fat, we're releasing toxins. Our bodies want to flush through fluid to keep our blood clean. So you're going to have to drink more water. But when you flush through fluids and toxins, you're also getting rid of electrolytes. So you need to make sure that your electrolytes are balanced, because if you're low in electrolytes, you'll feel thirsty and thirsty and thirsty and thirsty. So I would say if you're drinking, take your body weight and divide it by 2. So I weigh, well, I don't weigh 100 pounds, but let's pretend like I weighed 100 pounds. So if I weighed, because that's an easy number. If I weighed 100 pounds, I would, which I don't, I would say, okay, 50 ounces of water. I need to multiply that number by 1.2. So that would be 60 ounces of water. So for someone who weighs 200 pounds, they need to drink 120 ounces of water a day, because you have to divide your body weight in half and then multiply that by 1.2. That's how many ounces of water you should drink a day. And if you still feel thirsty, then add in an electrolyte supplement. Noon tabs are great. You can get them at Target. They taste good. I think they have between 2 and 4 carbs in them, depending on which one you get.
Using magnesium droplets.
Yeah, he uses the magnesium and potassium drops. Do you want to grab them so you can show them? You can get them at Lucky's Market or Whole Foods or Amazon or a vitamin shop. To me, they don't taste good. I'm not going to drink something that I don't like the taste of. So I like the Noon tablets. But
I like the Noon tablet.
he drinks these. And he just mixes it in with his keto. It says to put it under your tongue. Do not put it under your tongue. These are disgusting. If you put but in your keto, you can't really taste them. So if you want to do something that has no carbs, you can do that. I'm a weenie. I don't drink anything that isn't like, I don't even drink water out of a water glass. I drink everything out of a wine glass, and it has to be pink and like all this stuff. I like my little Noon tabs.
So another question is I had the Max product for my first time, and I went to the gym and I felt like superhuman. It was really weird. Is that normal?
Yes. The first time that I drank keto, I thought I was I was seriously on the treadmill running full speed, full incline, full resistance. And I thought, I wonder if my heart is going to explode at some point, or like, I feel like I could literally I went and watched Southpaw, which I don't know if y'all have seen that, but it's kind of emotionally pulling, and it's a boxing movie, and this guy's wife gets murdered and they're madly in love. And so he's this fighter, and I was like raging to go, and I'm not a gym person, but when I left that movie, I was drinking my first keto during that movie, and I went to the gym and I just kept running, and I like had weights in my hands, and I'm running. It's like 8 miles, and I'm still going, like full incline, full resistance, weights in my hands. And I was like, I think that I should just stop at this point and go home. I'm going to feel so bad. Like, I'm going to be so sore tomorrow, which I wasn't, but I texted him and I was like, what is this?
I need
right? What is this exactly?
Like, I am She-Hulk right now. Like, I'm in the gym, and I don't even go to the gym. I have a membership today. I have a membership, but now I'm in here like, so yeah.
There's a question. Does this speed your heart up? The Max. It didn't me, but
no. Only, I mean, if you're sensitive to caffeine and you use the caffeinated version, it can. If I drink like 3 of the caffeinated ones throughout the day, I will feel my heart kind of going fast. And I used to be able to drink coffee before bed. I drank multiple energy drinks per day. I was on Adderall. Now I'm so sensitive to caffeine and stuff because my cells are so healthy. So if you do feel like your heart's racing, just switch to the caffeine-free version. But there's nothing in the caffeine-free that would make your heart.
And Abigail was saying she was in the gym trying to do that.
how many grams of caffeine is in your caffeine products?
So the orange version has about 120, which is 12 ounces of regular coffee. The Max version has about 80, which is, did I say grams? Because I'm in milligrams. I said grams.
That's a lot. I was like, Jesus.
Milligrams. So the Max has 80 milligrams, which is like 8 ounces of coffee. And then the chocolate swirl, the 3.0, the caffeinated one only has like 40 milligrams. So it's like a shot of regular coffee, very low caffeine.
So taking these products, what if somebody is on Nutrisystem? But does it go hand in hand together? I mean, because you're trying to throw your body in ketosis, but Nutrisystem, they have their setups with carbs and stuff. So how would you suggest that?
I'm not super familiar with Nutrisystem. I have never, ever been a dieter or a meal planner ever, and I'm still not.
Bragging. You're trying to bragging.
Here's what I say. I look at it and I think, okay, if it's white and it's not cauliflower or almond milk or swerve sweetener, I probably shouldn't consume it. Like when I first started this, I did look at labels. I would be like, oh, this has 50 grams of carbs in a serving and one package has 7 servings. I probably shouldn't eat that. So I would be cautious of, but I never counted everything. I just said, this has a lot of carbs in it. I'm not going to eat it. And I still just live that way. Like I think about, okay, where did this come from for starters? If it came from a machine, it's probably not good for me. And second of all, if it's a potato or rice, or a fruit, I should eat it in limited quantities.
Right. It depends on people's goals too. I mean, personally, I just avoid carbs and sugars because I don't crave them, and I eat more greens, and I use coconut spread for that, MCT oil, coconut oil, and I stay away from that. I eat once to twice a day.
Yeah. So we try to eat pretty low carb. We don't obsess over or count everything. And I'm not sure exactly what Nutrisystem is, but if
Is that like Weight Watchers?
There's got to be some deficit in the system that causes weight loss. So whether it's calories or carb, there has to be some way that it, increases weight loss.
And then I have one question for you. What if somebody has like polycythemia?
I don't really think that it would affect, it doesn't affect any medical conditions specifically. It can affect certain things that happen. Like, for example, it's not going to specifically correct a thyroid disorder. But hormones are fat-based molecules. So if you're running on a fat-based fuel source, your hormone systems are going to work better. So it's more that it helps the systems than specifically helping or working towards a specific disorder relief. It's really just the systems that are involved. So I would say pretty much with everything except for type 1 diabetes, it would be preferable if you're talking about type 1 diabetes and you're insulin controlled because you're injecting, then it would still help because then you'd have to potentially inject less. So those are the only medical, and I do say everyone just listen to your body, watch your numbers. If you have high blood pressure and you're on a high blood pressure medication and you start using this, start watching your blood pressure, because as your body corrects itself, if your need for that blood pressure medication starts to go away and you're still taking just as much, you may end up with lower blood pressure than what would be preferable. So just go into it thinking, hey, this could potentially help whatever issues that I'm having. So I'm going to pay closer attention to those issues and make sure that they're not shifting in the opposite direction. Because if they are, I need to talk to my doctor about changing my medication strengths or frequencies.
Right.
And would you say that it's a good mood stabilizer? Like if somebody has a very high stressful situation?
Ask him that question.
Yeah, I think it's a great mood stabilizer. When I met her, she was using Adderall all the time. She was drinking coffee, Red Bulls, Monsters, and her mood wasn't always the greatest. So I was bringing her in the keto every morning and having her drink it. And it was just making her.
Seeing a Facebook post about she ran out on vacation or something and she couldn't wait to get back on it when she got home because she was raging or something like that.
Exactly. So
we almost got divorced a few weeks ago because I forgot to pack mine and we went to a wedding. We were separated. I mean, not separated, but like he was with my dad and I was with my mom, and they were doing the dude stuff and we were doing the girl stuff. And so I didn't have it. He packed some, but I didn't. So I didn't have it for 3 days until we saw each other again. And by the time that we saw each other, he was like, because I was so mean. I need to be in ketosis in order
to be stable,
to feel good and be happy.
And too.
The thing is, I was at a wedding, so obviously I was drinking champagne and eating cake. I wasn't staying in ketosis from diet at that point, so I didn't have ketones in my bloodstream, and it was not a nice situation for him. So they're very, very good for stabilizing mood.
We hear
For
that.
sure.
We hear that a lot too.
So one more question. So what if somebody, I told you I had a question. So what if somebody is a very small frame, elderly, you're not very elderly, and she just needs to have like that muscle sparing, she doesn't go to the gym, she's tiny as ever. But will this help her kind of like tone a little bit? Because it's sparing?
Here's what we want to look for, like with people who are aging, we always have to think about the loss of tissue. So we're thinking about neurological tissue and muscular tissue, because those are the two things that we really think about when we're talking about function. So if you lose muscle tissue, that limits mobility, and obviously if you are wasting away neurological tissue, then that's affecting movement with your nerves, but then also your ability to remember and to think clearly. So just everyday function. Those are the two tissues that we really want to nourish and preserve. And that's what ketones do. Like ketones preserve muscle tissue and they nourish brain tissues. So those are two things that are very, very, very important. And that's why, like, I've begged and begged and begged my grandmother, please. She's like, I don't need a weight loss supplement. And I'm like, Mama, this is not, you're 90. This is not a weight loss supplement. I want for you to eat the muscle that you have and keep the brain that you have. For you to do that, I need for you to be in ketosis. And I know you're not going to go on a diet. So please just drink this stuff. It tastes like chocolate milk. But yeah, those are from womb to tomb, it's safe. And so when we're talking about babies, the reason that they need ketones are passed on in breast milk. Babies are all born in ketosis. The reason that babies need ketosis is for the formation of neurological tissue and muscle. And then elderly people need to preserve neurological tissue and muscle. So from womb to tomb, they're safe and preferable.
When you're pregnant, can you have it?
Absolutely, yes. I would use caffeine free if you're pregnant, and make sure that you stay hydrated.
Guys, just saying. Just saying.
But absolutely, ketosis is very, very, very safe and very healthy for pregnant mothers. Yes.
Can you give it to kids to calm down? Since you were on Adderall, you have a kid that's absolutely crazy. How much would you give your child?
So what I say, because I started my nephew when my nephew was 2. He was an only child. He's not now, but he was an only child. And I drove to Carolina from Missouri to pick him up and drive him to Florida without his parents, with me. And so I got there 3 days early and started him on keto because I knew he needed a few days, because he was never disobedient. It was just one of those things where you constantly had to like clap and snap and yell, look at me, make eye contact, because he didn't pay attention well. And then once he did I would give him a command. By the time he got across the room to pick up his toy, he found a TV in between here and there, and he was paying attention to it. So he just didn't follow through on commands. And so I needed for him to be able to focus and pay attention and sit in the back seat of a car and color or whatever I was going to tell him to do without throwing a fit. So I started him on keto, and within 3 days, his mom was like, what is this stuff? So now his teachers swear by it. They love it. I say if you're 100 pounds, I always go by 100 pounds because no one weighs 100 pounds, but it's the easiest number to go by. So if you weigh 100 pounds, it's safe to take a full serving. If your kid weighs 30 pounds, give them a third of a serving. If they weigh 25 pounds, give them a fourth of a serving. If they weigh 10 pounds, give them a tenth of a serving. So just say 100 pounds is a full serving, and then, divide by their weight.
Good way to do it.
And you can do that twice a day is what I would say. I would say start out like if they weigh 50 pounds, do half a serving, but split that into 2 servings, and then work your way up to doing half a serving and half a serving.
And just, okay.
Yep.
We have about 10 minutes left. Any other questions for the doctor?
Covered everybody's question.
Is there anything that hasn't been covered yet?
Other than thanking them for being on the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for joining us.
Well, it's great to see all of y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann, for you joining us as well. So thank you. All right. Bye, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Bye.
Let's go real quick.
Absolutely.
When you know.